Welcome, guys. I'm excited to present to the Holly Hills Garden Club today. I have some exciting things to share with you all. I know you're probably really good with the soil and you love gardening, but I would like to talk to you about an innovative growing technology that might complement your current growing, whether you have raised beds, whether you have container gardens, whatever. I think that you'll be excited about the opportunities. So we're going to be talking about a growing technology called Tower Garden. It's by Juice Plus. How many of you all have heard of the Tower Garden? Either on, some kind of media, social media site, a friend. Have you ever heard of the Tower Garden? Okay, great. Well, I was hoping there'd be a few of you that have heard about it. So I'll share more with you today. Since we're in Florida, you will be amazed at how many people in Florida use this growing technology and how it was actually originally created through someone at the Disneyland exhibit, which is close by you guys as well. So let's talk about how we got started, my family. It's been about 13 years ago, and I have to tell you, we have a black thumb. James and I have lived in cities most often, but when we did live in Atlanta, we tried to grow everything from the upside down tomatoes. I think they called those topsy-turvy. You get those at Home Depot. We tried container gardens, raised beds, and the only thing that we could keep alive was a rosemary bush. I don't know if y'all have grown a rosemary bush, but you can't kill those things, really. So we didn't have much luck, let's put it that way. And I was introduced to the Tower Garden because I had partnered with the Juice Plus company and helping some of my clients get plant powders into their bodies. And the Juice Plus company purchased the rights to the Tower Garden. And we were so excited because, again, we had never been able to grow anything, and we were told how simple the technology was and how we could put this on our back deck in Atlanta. So this is the one from our back deck. We had a red brick wall, and this was an area where we got sun starting as early as lunchtime all the way through 8 o'clock in the summer. And I did want to warn you guys, because you're in Florida, that we had many days that were 100 degrees and that Tower Garden still looked lovely. So don't be concerned that it could get too much sun or get too hot. But you will hear today about how many people are actually growing inside. And I'll tell you some of the benefits. And we have two options that work really well, depending on where you prefer to grow. So we heard about it from the Juice Plus company and a friend. We got started with the basic system, which is what you're seeing here. This one's designed to be outdoors. And we just, planted some seeds. It was super simple. Next thing you know, within about 5 weeks from seed to harvest, we started taking lettuce off our tower and putting it directly into our salad bowl. And we knew that we weren't putting any pesticides on it, so we could easily just harvest or prune and put that directly into our salad bowl. We got so excited because we'd never grown food before that we started experimenting with lots of different plants. So this particular picture, just want to kind of show you the flexibility of the system. At the top, you can see there's some Swiss chard up in the top left-hand corner. There's some bright red stalks coming out. You can see in the middle of the Tower Garden, we have some deep red lettuce. Well, it's kind of the top bit. We had some red sorrel. There's some collard greens. There's some lemon balm. I think there's some parsley. You can grow a lot of different plants. And we'll be talking about that in a minute. But excuse me, it's a common question that people ask is, can I grow a lot of different things, or do I only grow one type of food? You can grow a lot of variety, and I'll give you some more specifics in a moment. So it all began with us because we had black thumbs. We were curious. We wanted to grow nutritious food because I'm a health coach, and we try to get as much variety as possible into our daily routine of fruits and vegetables. We did eventually go from 1 tower to 2 towers. First tower was for lettuce. Second tower we added was for tomatoes, and we had a ball with it. Eventually, my husband fell in love with the growing technology, and he just thought it was so simple that we started thinking about creating a farm up in North Carolina where we'd always wanted to retire. So this is our farm now. We have 100 towers, and you can see that most often our towers, we stay with the same leafy green in the tower just to make it easier. So we have romaine in some of these towers, we have basil in some of these towers, and 5-star. Those are just some examples of what we grow for our local community. And we love telling people that it's locally grown, it's nutrient dense, and it's for our communities. So we're selling at the farmers market, a couple of hospitals, several restaurants, and we provide living produce. In other words, we take the whole plant out, roots attached, and bag that and give it to a particular customer, whether it's an individual or a commercial account. When we worked at home with our tower garden, we pruned from several plants and went directly into our salad bowl. I'll talk about that more in a minute too. So our dream has become a reality. We're growing amazing food, and we're able to give back 10% of our food to the people in our community that are in need. We call that a Purchase for a Purpose program. So 10% of all of our food is given back to either our local food bank, or we have a relationship with a local women's home and a men's recovery program. So that was important to us. But this is just an idea of what you can do if you have a really big vision for this growing technology. Let's go back to the basics. What is a tower garden? Well, it's actually a new term that most people are not familiar with. It's called vertical aeroponic growing system. And it's the innovative approach to hydroponics. So most everybody's heard of hydroponics, but they have not heard of aeroponics. So we'll talk about the difference between hydroponics and aeroponics. But as I mentioned earlier, Tim Blank is the creator of this system, and he was the chief horticulturist at the Disneyland exhibit, which is at the Epcot Center. And he was there for 14 years. So he saw what they were doing there, very innovative. And he's been gone, gosh, at least 15 years. So this was almost 30 years ago. He was seeing really creative ways to grow food. And he thought, what if I could help every home owner grow their own food at home and encourage their families to eat more nutrient dense food? So that was his dream, and that's what's come to fruition. We have hundreds of thousands of these units across the US, and now they're moving into Europe and Asia countries. So it's exciting that this is a movement. People want to grow their own food. And we know due to studies that people that grow their own food actually eat more of the food. In other words, healthy, nutrient-dense greens in this case, or herbs, or tomatoes. So this is a great visual. There is a reservoir at the bottom. The reservoir is filled with water, and then we add minerals. The minerals are a proprietary blend by Juice Plus or the Tower Garden. And we provide those with the package. So you get everything you need in your starter program. So you fill the base with water. Then there's a certain amount of nutrients that you add to the base. And then you can see there's a little pump in the bottom. That's about the size of an aquarium pump. And that pump is bringing the water with the nutrients built in or mixed in to the top of the tower. And then it's raining down. There's a colander at the top. And the water rains down on the root systems. Depending on whether you grow inside or outside, it's a timed system. So they know how often the indoor unit needs water and how much the outdoor unit. The reason that the timing is different is outdoors, there is more evaporation and the roots actually absorb more nutrients because of direct sunlight versus LED lights. So hopefully that visual is starting to give you an idea of vertical and aeroponics. So the roots are actually hanging in air all day, and then they're rained on, the nutrient blend throughout the day. So the common questions that I get are, what can I grow on a tower garden? What are the seasons for a tower garden? Because most people that grow in soil are used to seasons. And what are the advantages of the tower garden? So I wanted you to see the indoor unit. You saw earlier the outdoor unit. We call that system the Flex and this system the Home. This one is typically designed for indoor growing because it's got a smaller footprint and it's it got the LED lights attached. But both units use the exact same technology. They've got the tower, the roots are hanging in air, and they're being rained on. This picture is the indoor unit, which is designed a little bit smaller so that you can fit it into an apartment or a corner in your home. I've seen lots of customers put them in their dining room or their kitchen. So they just go over and, you know, cut the herbs that they need that night or the lettuce they need for their salad bowl. So let's go to the questions. What can you grow on a tower garden? Basically, you can grow everything on a tower garden except root vegetables. So no potatoes, no carrots, or a tree. So when I say a tree, small lemon trees, small avocado trees, the root system's just too big for the tower garden. So anything else you could grow. You could grow watermelon, you could grow zucchini, you could grow tomatoes, strawberries, anything. However, I will share with you that the sweet spot is leafy greens and herbs. So when I have a new customer getting started, I like to get them started in the sweet spot so they see success quickly. And what I mean by that is 5 weeks seed to harvest. And so that really feels good. You're getting immediate gratification and you're harvesting lettuce for your, or kale for your salad. But if you choose to grow tomatoes, strawberries, any of the other things, the process is longer for pollination and propagation. And the other thing that I would point out is if you're indoors, you do have to self-pollinate many of the you know, plants, but that we have all kinds of tools to help you with that process. And most of them are online YouTube videos. So if you're a visual learner like I am, you'll be very happy. What are the seasons? You know, we really almost eliminate the seasons with this system if you're growing indoors, because you could grow things that are typically done in the fall all year round, like collard greens, because your LED lights work well, and you can grow kale and spinach, all those things all year round. But when you're growing outside, you typically just follow the same seasons that you would follow in the soil. So I typically grow my kale and my collard greens in the fall and winter. It's just because the weather is better. It's a little cooler for those plants, even spinach. But that's because I'm going outdoors without lights. Otherwise, if you're going indoors, you really don't have to worry about seasons. It's up to you what you want to grow. And the way our family looks at it is, let's grow what we're going to get the biggest bang for our buck. What's expensive in the grocery store? And what do I eat most often? So for us, that's all types of leafy greens, because we have a salad most nights, and herbs. We throw basil into most of our salads, and then we love kale and spinach in our smoothies. So everybody's going to be a little bit different, but growing tomatoes and cucumbers is fun. It's a longer process, and it's not the biggest bang for your buck because it takes so long to grow them. Just my thoughts, but have fun with it. Yeah, grow whatever you'd like. So people ask me all the time, oh wait, did I skip one question? The advantages of the tower garden, forgive me. The advantages of the tower garden, as you might imagine, are, first of all, it grows vertical and you don't have to take as much space. If you were in the soil, you typically need about 10 times as much space. The other advantage of the tower garden is that it's simple and it's easy. As I mentioned, we have black thumbs. We've never been able to grow anything, and we are growing an abundance of food with our tower garden at home as well as at our farm. And we have no horticultural background. You guys are probably better gardeners than me because you're a part of a garden club, but I learned to do this system very quickly. The other advantages of the tower garden are that you can grow 12 months out of the year, and we can't grow 12 months out of the year in many places in the US, maybe somewhat in Florida, But with too much water, if we get too much rain or we don't get enough rain, there's all kinds of climate variables, and we can control those climate variables with your tower garden. A few more advantages I want to tell you about come from this study. It's noted at the bottom. It's the University of Mississippi. This is in Oxford, Mississippi, Ole Miss. They have a very strong horticultural program. So they planted basil, spinach, kale, and several lettuces in the ground, soil gardening. Then they planted the exact same things in a tower garden. And so they did a white paper study comparing the two, soil gardening versus tower gardening. And this is the results of their study. And I'm happy to get you the white paper if you'd like to dive into the research. But this is what they show. We use 98% less water. You know, here in Florida or even in North Carolina, we're not too concerned about water, but California is very concerned about water, and many other countries are concerned about water. And so I just think it's interesting to note that you're using so much less water. 90% less space, we already talked about that. 30% more yield, that's interesting. So the environment that they have created with the tower garden is so productive because you are able to control the nutrients and the water and the, what I would call aeroponic or misting system. It just really creates the perfect balance between oxygen, water, and minerals, and the plants thrive. Therefore, we get a 30% more yield. And the other thing is it's 3 times faster. So I can grow the exact same food, I can get 30% more food, and I can grow it 3 times faster. It almost sounds too good to be true, but I'll share with you the white paper if you're interested. So what are our goals as a farmer in North Carolina? It's just to encourage more people to grow clean, nutrient-dense food at home, or to consider what we're doing and growing for their community. And communities all over this country have embraced small farms. Ours is a greenhouse farm, and growing food for their local community. As we know, when we go to the grocery store right now, the inflation on food is out of control, but more importantly, what's being put on our food is out of control. And I love knowing that nothing synthetic is being put on our food growing in the tower garden, in our farm, or at home. So let's talk about the 2 systems available to you as an individual homeowner. First, we have the home unit. This is the one I referred to earlier that's got the smaller footprint. I think there's 14 gallons in the base of this reservoir. It's either 13 or 14. And it takes up about 24 inches in your corner. Maybe a little bit more expanding the lights out as the plants grow. But you get everything you need to get started. So you can see there's some mineral blend, there's your pump at the bottom, you've got some seeds, and you've got your rock wool. Rock wool is a growing medium that's across many different technologies. It's not just for tower garden, but it holds moisture really, really well. So that's where you place your seed, and then it propagates and you have a small seedling. So you're getting everything you need to begin growing with this system. That is typically designed for in-home growing, but you could move it outside. Hold on one second. Honey, I'm on a Zoom call. Can you take her outside? Okay, the life of a puppy owner. Typically this one is growing indoors, but I have people that, like here in the mountains, they move it outdoors for 2-3 months, and then they come in for the rest of the year. So it's flexible, and you would just take the lights off if you went outdoors and you had good light. The other system, that we want to talk about is the Flex system, and that's what you saw that we had in our farm as well as at our home to begin with. So this has a 36-inch base, a little bit bigger base, and it holds 24 gallons of water. The reason that's important is it can hold up well to a heavy wind. I have clients in Texas, and they get really strong, almost, tornado type winds, and they just move it closer to the house so that it's not out by the pool or whatever, but it typically is not blown over because of those 24 gallons of water in the base. It's got a good, heavy, sturdy base. But the technology is the same, and you'll notice it's got everything you need to get started there at the bottom too. So we want to help you buy a system that allows you to get started growing day one, starting your seeds or ordering some seedlings from a seedling provider like our farm in North Carolina. So tower gardens are in many places these days. I have placed many in schools across Georgia and now North Carolina, but even more so, there are so many. I think they say now that we have about 5,000 schools using these, and they start as young as elementary. I have some kindergarten teachers buying them for special needs students, and the kids get a reward system of reading to the tower garden, and it's so fun because they hear the noise. It's got a little water feature, and it's just a fun thing for especially kids with sensory issues. But it goes all the way up to high school. So we have lesson plans available for schools. They're free of charge to the teacher or the educator. And then we're also finding nonprofit groups and libraries using tower gardens. So there's a library in outside of Atlanta that has 10 of these units in their atrium. And it's just a soothing water feature for people to sit and read next to. And they're using that food to give back to their local community. Finally, nonprofit groups. We are working with a veterans group here in North Carolina that have added tower gardens so that the veterans who have, PTSD can come do activities revolving around growing food and also have purpose by selling the food to their local community. So there's creative ways you can do it. I have a friend who has put some in fire departments in the Atlanta area. So there's really not an organization that this does not work for, but we have to be creative. And sometimes, most often, we're able to find grant money for those organizations because there are a lot of organizations or foundations that want to invest in helping people grow food. Here's an example of a school system that I've worked with personally. The photo on the left, you can see that I'm facing a big group of kids. This is 4th and 5th graders, and their teachers wanted to allow the kids to grow food. So there's the tower garden to my right. We grew basil together. I came and talked to them about aeroponic growing. Then we made pesto, and then they created recipes and a food truck to sell food to their parents when they came to pick them up at carpool. So they learned to grow food, to make a recipe, and to sell food and exchange money. I mean, what a lovely process for kids to learn in 4th and 5th grade. And the teachers were very creative. This was a STEM program that they were working with. On the right is my local North Carolina school. This is a middle school, and this is what they call CTE program, Community Technology, I can't remember, education program. So what they're trying to do is encourage career opportunities that don't necessarily require a 4-year degree. And so in North Carolina, they have these programs across all the middle schools. And so this teacher has a tower garden in his classroom, and the kids are growing food and doing some creative things with it, but also seeing some career opportunities. At this point, I've talked enough. I really would love to hear y'all's questions. As Garden Club members, I can imagine that you have some good questions for me. James is home, and she got very excited when she saw James home. Let me turn off the recording.